现在我正在去火山的路上，导游是泗水本地人，有很多华人朋友。途中我们聊到了印尼华人的现状、印尼本地人对历史上排华事件的看法、中国崛起对印尼的影响，以及印尼华人在这个国家的地位等等。虽然这些是他个人的经历和看法，但我们也可管中窥豹，对印尼的历史与现状有一个侧面的了解吧。
Sometimes we send a student to Wuhan to study Mandarin, the Chinese language.
Are there some Chindos exchange to there to learn Mandarin?
No.
No?
Quite a few.
Quite a few?
Quite a few, yeah, quite a few.
So, Indonesian local people exchange to China to learn Mandarin,
Yep.
but the Chindos can't speak Mandarin and they want to exchange to there to learn.
No. Yeah. I think that's I think that just like that, yeah. So the thing is, almost all the Chindos here, especially for the younger generation, I don't really think that they can't speak Chinese. They can't speak Chinese anymore. Probably they understand what you were saying, but they can't say it back. They cannot reply, something like that. So yeah. So the majority of people here in Indonesia that still want to learn some Chinese is not Chinese Indonesian, but it's Javanese people from Java. The reason is because you see, there's a lot of Indonesian, right, working in Chinese, Hong Kong, working in China in Hong Kong. They saw that as the good opportunity to make money, right?
Yeah.
So because they want to work to China, they want to go to work China. So that's why a lot of Japanese want to learn the Mandarin, just because they want to work in China. They want to get a job in China. And also, there's a lot of job now recently in Indonesia. They pay you a really good money if you can speak Chinese.
But why Chindos don't want to learn Chinese?
I have no idea why.
They're originally from China.
I know. Quite sad, right?
China's economy is growing and become a big country right now. That more and more Chindos want to learn Chinese. Is that possible?
100% possible. I mean, like, not only a Chinese, but also local people, right? So the local people now start to realize that learning Chinese is important because China is growing now. You know, everything comes from China now, right? The car, the clothes. So I think Chindos probably also realize about that, but at the same time they also realize English is even important, because at least Chinese businessmen can still speak English at least, so right? Because it's international language. Most of Chinese can speak English, yeah.
Oh, why? Why it happened?
I don't know, because it has something to do with the business, right? If you want to grow your business, then you need to speak English well, right? Because Chindos love to, you know, study abroad, study in other countries.
So they can speak English well, but they can't speak Chinese.
Quite like that, yeah. But then, you know, Sumatra, it's close to with Malaysia. So Sumatra is like part of Indonesia that's quite close to Malaysia. If you go there and if you see Chindos in Sumatra, most of Chindos in Sumatra can speak Chinese still. So I think only Chindos in Java that cannot speak English. Sorry, it's Chinese. I think probably it's because there's something to do with the history that we have in the past, right? In 1998,
yeah,
like you told me, in 1998, because there's a hatred towards the Chinese, so the Chindos try their best not to be a Chinese. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They try to blend with the local people. So instead of learning Chinese, they were just learning to be a true Indonesian. So that's why they just forget about how to be a real Chinese by learning their language or something like that. So I think
yes,
the history that happened in the past also played a part of why Chindos doesn't really speak the Chinese words anymore because they're too afraid. They don't want to be called as a Chinese people anymore. They just want to blend in. So that's why they just try. They do their best to look as Indonesian as possible. Right? That's why you see that in Indonesia, the Chindos in Indonesia also have Indonesian names, which sounds really, really Japanese. Or for example, like Tan.
Oh, Tan.
Yeah, the Tan's family names, they changed it in Indonesia into Hartanto.
Oh.
Right? So there's Tan still, but they put something else so they really sound Indonesia.
Government didn't allow Chinese people to use the Chinese name, so that's why they changed it to Japanese.
True. I think it's good that most of Chinese know about what happened in the past, so that it can remind you of what happened in the past. But then to be afraid to move on, it's something that really, really wrong, right?
Yeah.
To move on and then still be afraid and don't have enough courage, don't brave enough to face the challenge that you're going to have. I think that's something really, really wrong. So since you record the video, I just want to send a message to all Chinese people everywhere. If you want to come to Indonesia, it's safe now. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry about that. It's good that you know about that history so that you can tell Indonesian people about that. You can share information that you know about that history. But don't you worry. You're fine now. You're good. You can come to Indonesia. We love Chinese people. In fact, a lot of people, especially in Bali, right? Especially in Bali, Chinese help them a lot. So most of the tourists that stays in the luxurious hotel, luxurious villa, most of them are from China, are Chinese. So Balinese people will be so thankful toward Chinese people. We're living in the new world, right? We're living in the new world. So what's in the past stays in the past. We have to move on. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Indonesian people are nice, actually, especially toward foreigners, toward people that comes from other countries. They're very nice. I promise you.
Yeah.
Love you, Chinese.
So have you ever talked about this kind of history with your Indo friend?
Oh yeah, a lot.
Really? You
Yeah.
talk about that?
I have Chindo's friend, right? So here's the fact. I have a Chindo's friend, right?
Yes. So you talk about that dark history with them before?
Dark history as a joke.
As a joke?
As a joke. As a joke. But you know what I'm saying? Like as a joke.
How to joke about that?
Yeah, I mean, like I know it's it's a really dark history.
Yes.
But I never really meant to hurt his feeling because he knows who I am. I never really mean, when I say something, I never really mean that. It was just a joke. And I never really mean to hurt them. It was just to remind them what happened in the past, right? And to see us now, me and my Chindo's friend, get along pretty well. It was quite a relief. It was good, right? Consider that we have a really good, consider that all races, all people have like a really bad history in the past. So to see us, me and my Chinese friend now get along pretty well, it was a relief. It was a good condition. So we just try to remind each other that something like that is not good. Something like that, it's really wrong. Something like that happened in the past, it's really, really bad. Like, okay, for example, do you remember that our people have slaughtered your people before? Slaughtering, harassing your people, right? Yeah. Yeah, right. So don't you dare do something bad to me. It's just a kind of joke. It's just a kind of joke, but it's not, I don't really mean that. You know what I'm saying? It was just a joke. So it was just joke each other between us. Even my Chinese friend always threw a joke about bad habits that the Japanese people or local people do. and we're fine. We're totally fine.
When we can joke about something, it means that we move on.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So if we still have hatred, we can't joke about that.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
Yes.
Right. We move on, so that's why we can joke about it now. We can laugh together. So me and my Chindo's friend can laugh together about that, laughing together. It's because we move on now. We move on. We want to be better. Let's forget about that. It's a joke. It's just a joke. Because true friend would really love to, make some jokes, right, to each other.
Yes.
So it was a joke. So during that period, there's a lot of Chinese that get an advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like they get a lot of advantage where indigenous people, local people, Indonesian people just don't get a lot of advantage. And for example, there's a lot of Chinese businessmen that get a lot of advantage for the government, so that's why they get rich. They grow some hatred. They hate Chinese. So it's like Japanese people always hate Chinese because they always get an advantage from the government. The current situation, for some people they still have like the hate towards Chinese, but I think since the internet era, they now understand like the unfair situation was created by the government, not by the Chinese itself. So, and also what's in the past, stay in the past. We just try to build a new relationship now. So I think most of the people now just forget about that kind of situation and then just try to build a new relationship with Chinese, and we get along pretty well with Chinese now, even though there is some Indonesian that still don't like Chinese people. So the Chinese and Indonesian people, the Chindos with the real Indonesian people, the indigenous people, they live together pretty well.
What's your impression of the people from China and Chindos? You think they are the same or they are different?
I think they are the same in terms of they all are hardworking. Right? They are good at doing the trade. They're good at doing a business. I think they're the same, but the only difference is I think it's because I went to Wuhan, right?
Yes.
I went to Wuhan and I saw that in Wuhan there's still like a poor Chinese people. So it's more like the only difference, I think it's the condition where they live in, because most of the Chinese here are rich. So it's quite strange, it's quite bizarre for me to see Chinese people live in poverty. Because in China, you might see a Chinese that still live in poverty, right? But here in Indonesia, all the Chinese were really, really rich. So for you Chinese people, if you ever go to Indonesia and then look, you find some luxurious house, I can tell that it's 75% it's a Chinese that live there. Quite rare Chindos work in government, in a job with the government related, So it's like they always just want to do a business, open a store, just do a business. That's it. They don't want to be a part of government or something like that. But they have an influence too, influence the government to take like any kind of political decision, because they're rich, right?
How do you think about Ahau?
Oh, he's a brave man. He's a brave man.
Really?
He's a brave man. He's an honest man. I think he's the only politician that don't really act like politician.
So you like him? How about Indonesia people think about him? Also like him?
I think due to the past history, the fact that he's been harassing Muslim by saying something bad to them. Now most of the Muslims don't like him. Most of the Muslim.
成千上万名伊斯兰教徒今天聚集在印尼首都雅加达中部公园，高举反中万学的大字报。
But even a Muslim, I like him. It's because he's an honest person. He said what he said. He said what he really mean what he say. So if he finds something wrong, he will say it. If you ask me, Whether he's a good politician, I'm not going to say he's a good politician, but he's a good leader because he's a good person. That's why he doesn't last long in politics because he's too good, he's too honest, he's too brave.